So a lot of you guys probably know this if you are high school or middle school aged, but a lot more people than in previous generations are drinking insanely sugary coffee. The pumpkin spice latte is one of Starbucks' best-selling fall/winter items for the sole reason of high school girls getting it before they go to school. And a lot of the time they'll add modifiers to their drinks, so it's not just the built-in some cases 50% of your daily value of sugar in these coffees, but they also ask for like more more sugar additionally, which is just terrible for you. The added sugar is so bad for you in so many levels. Like the coffee itself is oftentimes not very high quality. It is mass produced and there is a bunch of artificial additives to make it taste more coffee-like so they can save money. But the actual sugar that they're adding and the syrups and the whipped cream, all that shit is just, it's so bad for you. And I understand, like I'll have a Frappuccino every now and then with extra whipped cream and it does hit the spot, but almost every day you'll have some people that they go to Dunkin' Donuts or Starbucks and they load up on this shit before they go to school or work, and yeah, it has them flying off the walls.
World.
All right, now we're just getting a little ridiculous. It's the plague of the world. The plague of the world, like it's a disease, like it's literally a thing that can be spread across nations and dismantle an entire population. I wouldn't go that far.
Yeah, I found a lot of coffees.
You guys know that black coffee used to actually be the one thing keeping people from getting sick? Like, I think I read about this. It was something like the 1800s. People would have black coffee, and the heat and the black coffee, I don't know what it actually does, but it would kill bacteria when you drank it.
Black coffee. Also, I want to say
So they would get less sick.
I am not trying to shame you, and you can do with it as you please. And also, there is a huge difference between a daily habit and a once in a while treat, as you'll see. But first, while we're on the topic of daily beverages, it's time to talk about water, thanks to today's sponsor, Cove Pure, right?
Well, the thing with sweet coffee, the thing about a milkshake disguised as an energy drink or a work-enhancing drink is that you can have like a Red Bull that has no sugar in it, and you know what you're getting into because you know that it is primarily going to be heavy in caffeine and it doesn't have other macronutrients. It has low nutritional value. The thing with Starbucks coffee is you think that you're getting something similar to a Red Bull, but because it doesn't have synthetic chemicals inside of it, that it's better, right? Because it's using more natural ingredients, like it has milk in it, or coffee is something that is found in nature with the coffee beans. But the reality is, it has been so modified to the point where it's not even something that you can argue is better than an energy drink because of all the shit that's being added and mixed into it. It's actually worse.
Daily beverages, it's time to talk about water. On April 24th, 2016, a man pulled up to a Starbucks drive-thru as he usually did, with plans.
This is 2016. Why does this look like 2008?
Of picking up his morning drink. Only this time, he was met with a surprise.
"Diabetes, here I come" was printed in capital letters on his grande white mocha.
I just feel like as the barista, were you trying to get fired?
Wow.
What was the thought process here? But listen, okay, that was 10 years ago now.
That's awesome.
Coffee drinks have notice a trend.
This gives me the same vibes as those restaurants that post their specialty desserts and then it's just the most disgusting thing you've ever seen. You guys realize like a lot of smaller restaurants have to come up with these super weird and like tacky dessert menu items. It'll be like, you know, like the ice cream rainbow, and it's like 7 scoops of ice cream for every color of the rainbow, and then they'll throw like 10 waffles on it for some reason, and they'll call it something like the Rainbow Road or whatever. And it's just like, who the fuck wants to eat that, you know? I look at this and I think the same thing. There's just too much going on here.
What people order.
The syrup was oozing out of the side where cooked. Yeah, bro, I just get nauseous looking at this. The way this will fucking put you on the toilet is worse than Chipotle.
But yeah, if
Yeah, you just gotta give up.
Now maybe you're thinking, that one has to be a joke, okay? That one is rage bait
Probably.
reviews. And I agree, I like sweetness, but that one is literally crunchy at the bottom. The only way a drink like that is seriously gonna be palatable to you is if you've absolutely cooked your taste buds. Like that is a tolerance that
This shit's called the Asmongold Special, actually. I'm pretty sure this is the only thing that he can drink, bro. He got nauseous drinking water.
you've built over time. But yeah, even if that particular video is fake, it is true that over the last few years, sugary drinks have gotten so out of control that baristas have been calling out a phenomenon they are seriously calling diabetes in a cup. That's what they're calling it.
Y'all don't know gluttony till you work at Starbucks. There are people who come in every single day, get 15 pumps of vanilla, extra vanilla sweet cream, extra heavy cream in one drink, and then you have the nerve to get a Trenta.
Somehow even Google's AI
Yeah, bro, like, this shit is gonna be the first reason that we see people coming back with, like, hook hands, you know? They get their hand chopped off, they got, like, a pirate's hook. There's no more, like, bro, we're gonna have to invent, like, biotech that can replace essential organs that will have to be amputated after the sort of sugar surge that they consume every single day. This shit will put you in a fucking wheelchair.
Cream, extra heavy cream in one drink, and then you have the nerve to get a Trenta.
Somehow even Google's AI knows that this is a thing. Diabetes in a cup is a phrase describing a sugary, creamy coffee drink so packed with sugar, syrups, and high-calorie creamers that it's considered a major contributor to high blood sugar and is particularly harmful.
Yeah, bro, heroin's probably safer. You do heroin once a week versus doing this every day, you might be better off.
For people with diabetes. When you look around, you see that there are tons of posts by different baristas around the internet discussing the insane amounts of sugar.
I'm going to be honest, if I was a barista, I might look at this and consider quitting my job because you have this guilt on your conscience that I feel like would be unshakable at a certain point. Like, you're serving a guy, you see him coming every single day, and after a month, he's noticeably fatter and more angry and more anxious because of what you served him. You're a merchant of death. You're literally a salesman of disease. You're the architect of destruction. You're creating something that is going to ruin somebody's life. Shit, bro, that guy's wife's probably gonna leave him, you know? Every day he goes off to work, but before that he gets in a fucking 10-pound drink of sugar, you know? Jeez. One of these days your wife's gonna find out what your usual is, and she'll smack you in the fucking face. She'll say, whoa, honey, are you serious? 27 pumps of sugar? You ought to be ashamed.
People are putting in their coffee these days. McDonald's, diabetes in a cup,
Wow.
USA. Ladies and gents, I present diabetes in a cup.
How many fucking modifiers do you have? You know what? Let's read these guys. Let's be adults here and actually know what we're up against before we get so angry. In a venti cup, line cup mocha, so we're just doing lines. Blonde espresso. 11 shots of what? Ristretto upside down. Now we're adding like acrobatic poses. An upside down fucking hoop jumping exercise, whatever. Like, I don't understand. Like, what is even this? 4 hazelnut syrup, 5 brown sugar syrup, 4 chai, 3 mocha, 2 white mocha. This could kill you, by the way. X chocolate mint powder, I guess. 3 vanilla bean powders, caramel drizzle, X mocha drizzle, extra cookie crumble, extra cinnamon doll top. Wow. Yeah, man, this is fucked. I'm never judging anybody who goes to McDonald's again when this is out there. This is the silent killer. You see someone in a suit and tie holding a latte strutting down the main street, and you think, oh, he's got his shit together. And then you actually notice there's a white label the size of a receipt on the side of his cup. That's gonna be the telltale sign that you've been deceived. This is worse than cancer.
Little Dunkin' Donuts, diabetes in a cup.
Wow.
Starbucks,
The fuck is wrong? And he's had half of it. Wow. What is it they say on YouTube Shorts comments? The first sip tastes like heaven. The second sip takes you there.
McDonald's, you get the point. But let's actually read one out from Starbucks because I feel like it actually does a good job summing the situation up. The amount of sugar people are consuming is insane. Like absolutely insane. I've had multiple customers come in and tell me they are pre-diabetic and can't get their favorite drink anymore. I never thought I would hear that multiple times. A lot of these customers are in their 30s to 40s and would otherwise seem healthy. They talk about coming to get their Starbucks after
You're a fucking idiot. You're a fucking idiot. Like, what did you think was gonna happen? I'm sorry. I want to feel bad for you, but you are adding so many modifiers. You have to know something's wrong.
Even the Oleato's supposed health benefits. The Oleato was a olive oil based Starbucks drink.
What?
Even the Oleato's supposed health benefits are completely negated by adding it to a 6 pump of sugar, venti, whatever. Some people wake up at 6 a.m. to order a Frappuccino. I know it's their coffee and they like it how they like it, but it's just such a sad situation and it's making me depressed knowing that I'm serving diabetes in a cup.
Yeah, bro, that's on you. You gotta quit. You're making the drug. You're manufacturing the shit. You're handing them off to him, you know? And you have the audacity, okay? You hand them their death in a cup, and then you flip the tablet and you ask for a fucking tip. You should be ashamed of yourself. Honestly, it's like, you have the fat retards that are ordering this shit, and then they're like, yeah, I'm pre-diabetic, what about it? They don't understand even what they're doing to themselves, or they do, and they're just like, actually retarded. But then you have the baristas, right, who have decided they understand how bad it is, what they're doing is, and now ask you for extra money on top of it. Wow.
I'm starting to get uncomfortable with the amount of times I'm saying the word diabetes.
Yeah.
But there is actually a connection between sugary drinks and real diabetes that we'll discuss
Really?
later on. But yeah, overall, this phenomenon is real. When you look around, there's been this real rise in extreme coffee drinks over the last few years. As an example, I give you Exhibit A, the Ice Spice Munchkins drink. This drink is a collaboration between Ice Spice and Dunkin' Donuts that came out in fall 2023.
Our culture is a sewer. Let's get a woman who raps about farting and pooping all the time to promote our drink, and then Americans will buy it. And they did buy it, and it was on the menu.
It's not only a blended frozen coffee drink with whipped cream and like syrups, but it also quite literally has blended up donut holes in it. As in,
oh my fucking god, are you kidding me? They took donuts and liquefied them and made people drink it by promoting culture to them that destroys them as well. You've just got done listening to your Ice Spice track about fucking bitches and pooping and farting and using your money on things that don't benefit your future and are frivolous purchases that induce a short-term dopamine spike. Now it's time for you to further yourself in this degenerative lifestyle by drinking a coffee that takes more time off your life than a cigarette.
Drinking donut. Also,
like they should literally, you know how the packets of cigarettes have like a photo of someone with a hole in his throat because he smoked or something? He's like, oh, my life was so good, but then I started smoking Newports, and they got to put that guy's face with a cancer warning on it on the cigarette boxes. They should literally have like the fattest idiot who died of diabetes right on the fucking front of this cup.
Has blended up donut holes in it. As in, you're drinking donuts. Also, little Canadian side note, here in Canada, Tim Hortons has a complete monopoly over those little things, like in terms of what they're called. We call them here Timbits.
Ooh, Tim Hortons.
And I actually think that's the only place I've ever seen them. But yeah, this drink, it has
it's my favorite Indian restaurant.
Just one blended up donut hole. But man, you're crazy today. What are you up to? Maybe I should zap them. But yeah, this drink has not just one, but the large actually has 4 blended up donut holes in it. I feel like that is just so unnecessary to the point of not even being enjoyable. What happens when you like get a donut wet? Nothing good. It's gonna be like soggy. It's gonna be like clumpy. It's just like so unnecessary.
Shit look like a tater tot. That shit disgusting. Are you fucking kidding me? Who eat like this is just baby food. This is so like gross. You realize that this is what I was saying earlier with the specialty desserts being just taking a bunch of crap, mushing it together and saying voila. Like who the fuck even looks at this and gets appetized? I think if I'm a fat retard, right? It's like, okay, I'm gonna go get my McChicken. No, you know what? Make it 2. No, you know what? Make it 3. No, you know what? Make it 4. And then that, you know, maybe you stop at 6 or 7. And then you eat that and then you feel ashamed, but then you repeat the cycle because you're an addict. But how do you even look at this and get addicted to this? Like, how do you get appetized whatsoever looking at this fucking abomination of sludge? This is like gray matter. This looks like it would come out of somebody. This looks like fucking puke.
obesogenic to the point of not even being enjoyable. And again, I'm telling you guys, I like sweetness. Sweetness is like my Achilles heel. I gave up fast food, no problem. I never crave a chip anymore, nothing like that.
That's
but
tough. I do.
Will be the death of me. But yeah, this is how the Ice Spice Munchkins drink is made. This is an image I'm assuming is a guide for Dunkin' Donuts workers. I think that's correct. So we have a heaping cup of ice, water, that's good. Liquid cane sugar, looks to be a decent amount of it, 4 pumps. Cream, depending on how much you want, I guess. Coffee, syrup, and if we look around here, we see that's the only coffee in here. So this drink actually doesn't have real coffee. It has coffee syrup.
Dude.
Then we have the pumpkin munchkins, 2 for a small.
I thought that RFK was going to end this. When RFK got appointed as director of health, I thought that he was going to direct Starbucks and Dunkin' to stop making these abominations. You know, you can just serve coffee. You're a coffee shop. You can serve coffee. You know what I mean? It's like Barnes & Noble. You can serve books. You don't have to be serving porn on paperback.
3 for a medium or 4 for a large. Caramel drizzle in the cup. Whipped cream, and caramel drizzle again. And this drink comes out to a whopping
wet sand.
830 calories.
Yeah.
Now, the drink is discontinued, so I couldn't find the rest of the nutrition information, so I don't know exactly how much sugar's in there.
It got discontinued because everybody who drank it also got discontinued.
But I'm going to go ahead and guess that it is a lot, because if we take a look at the
I would be so curious if alongside the revenue stats that this drink generated, we could also see the kill count
of Dunkin's drinks. Not only do they have a lot of sugar, but there is a lot going on overall. Let's take a look. This is their most recent nutrition PDF. So first on here, we have the pumpkin cold brew with sweet medium, 240 calories. Okay, so far, not bad. It's a treat. It's a fall vibe. You get it while you do your apple picking or your haunted house, or it's just like a crisp fall day. At 240 calories, it's really not a big deal. Anybody can make that work in their lives.
That's nothing.
But as we can see here, it does have 41 grams of added sugar, which is definitely a lot of added
41.
sugar, and in liquid form, which we'll talk about later. But then we go down to the
you can't drink your sugar because it doesn't even taste like sugar. Like that's one of those things about drinking things where it's a lot of times very sneaky with the stuff that you don't even realize you're tasting. Like for instance, you know, soda has so much sugar in it that it doesn't even hydrate you. Like you crave it again, you crave more of it. So it's not really good. Whereas like if you have even less of the sugar in like a food form, like a donut or a cupcake or something like that, it's much you're more aware of what you're tasting. So
next thing on the list, the cereal and milk culotta. This thing is 890 calories for a large or 670 calories for a medium. Now this is a very high calorie drink, almost 3 times the calories of the first drink, and it has 126 grams of added sugar in the medium. That is more than 3 times the entire daily added sugar limit recommended by the World Health Organization.
They gotta make you sign a waiver. Like if you're ordering this, you have to know what you're getting into, you know? Just before you make them pay, it's just a quick, on the tablet where they ask you for the tip, a quick little disclaimer, and then you click the I accept thing. Because people would be like, what the fuck am I accepting to? And then they would realize, wow, wait a second, I am deciding to self-harm whenever I drink this.
And the American Heart Association and the dietary guidelines for Americans in one drink. And also, to put this into context, okay, that is more sugar than any one single cheesecake at the Cheesecake Factory. When I first read this, it was actually blowing my mind. Look at this, okay? Let's look at this.
This shit might be the plague of the world after all.
The fresh strawberry cheesecake has 55 grams of sugar. The toasted marshmallow s'mores galore has 102 grams of sugar. The dulce de leche caramel cheesecake has 83 grams of sugar. Meanwhile, okay, at Dunkin's just getting started. Let's look at this. The candy bar frozen coffee, 1,060 calories in a large with another 100.
It's called the frozen candy bar.
26.
1,000 grams of, or 1,000 calories?
Grams of sugar. The pumpkin frozen coffee, large, 1,000 calories, 144 grams of sugar. The triple mocha frozen coffee, large, 1,100 calories, 159 grams of sugar. The triple mocha frozen coffee, medium, 840, 122 grams of sugar. This is just a fall lineup, okay?
The thing is as well, right? And maybe she'll get into this, but specifically what's so bad about this as well is I feel like they make it a little bit marketed towards children. Like when you're showing a bunch of candy bars and stuff, who is attracted to candy bars? It's children. And we know this because that was the pedophiles' trick up their sleeve for the longest time. It would be to come in my van because I have candy. Dunkin' is taking a page out of the pedophiles' book by literally making a liquid candy bar, right? A frozen candy bar. I feel like this specifically is targeting children just because it looks like a Halloween treat. And, you know, adults I think are more likely to accept the bitterness of black coffee and drink it for its utility, whereas children don't need the caffeine because they aren't going to 9-hour work days. And so they'll just take something that's sweeter. And unfortunately, this seems to be something that Dunkin' is very aware of and they're exploiting by doing this barely legal shit with their drinks. Wally is coming soon. Yeah, we're going to have these hovering chairs that take us everywhere because we're so large.
1,000 calories, 144 grams.
I used to drink stuff like this in high school and wondered why I was fat.
Of sugar. The triple mocha frozen coffee.
Well, yeah.
Large. 1,100 calories. 159 grams of sugar. The triple mocha frozen coffee, medium, 840, 122 grams of sugar. This is just their fall lineup, okay? The fact that all of these drinks have substantially more added sugar than the cheesecakes at the Cheesecake Factory. And
it's also, we know this because Ice Spice is an artist that the primary demographic that consumes her music would be high school aged girls, right? Girls that are anywhere from 14 to 17 years old. And so when they see that collaboration, they're likely to be the biggest, like, people who buy the product. And that's going to fuck them over the most. So that's why we see childhood obesity or teenage obesity on the rise as well.
One single cheesecake. Have you ever seen these cheesecakes? They're like literally known for being like very decadent and high calorie. And Dunkin', a thing you're supposed to consume maybe on your way to work, is putting them to shame sugar-wise. And to be fair, we were just reading out the really sugary, high-calorie ones. If you wanted to make a healthy choice, you absolutely could. There were tons of lower sugar options there as well. But if you weren't paying attention and you didn't know and you just ordered like a little pumpkin coffee thing that you thought sounded best to you, you'd be hit with 1,000 calories in one shot and a massive sugar load. And it really isn't that obvious either which drinks are like the really high calorie, really high sugar ones. Obviously, there are clues, but not all the time. You go to their website and you look at their base level frozen coffee, okay, which I assume is...
The thing is as well, because it's drinkable, you're able to consume that amount of calories in such short periods of time. Whereas if you are looking at this, for instance, right, this is 1,000 calories here. It's not the highest resolution, but we can see here, this is 1,000 calories. You have these fruits, you have this red meat, this chicken, and this is like pickles and vegetables, right? And so it would take you probably 30 minutes to an hour to eat all of this. Maybe it would take you more on the 30-minute side to eat all of this as a meal. But the fact that you can tackle this in 1 minute, basically, right? 1 minute it would take you to consume or to drink this 1,000 calories is also so bad because it's not going to satiate you. And it will basically leave you at a point where it's a lose-lose because you'll still be hungry at other times in the day and you'll consume additional calories, which will then put you at a calorie surplus, whether you like it or not, which most people would not want to be at a calorie surplus if they weren't aware of it. Because you have 1,000 calories in the morning, you're starting at a debuff. So throughout the day, now you're just stacking off on top of that 1,000, which is already your baseline, which is too high.
It's going to be ordered by someone at Dunkin' who's maybe trying to be a little healthier or they just like it a little more plain. This thing has no extra flavorings or syrups or pumps or swirls in it. It's still 410 calories in a medium, which is a lot for a relatively plain coffee drink or a coffee drink that at least seems to be plain. And again, a whopping 77 grams of sugar. I also wondered why it called itself an energizing spin on your morning coffee because typically the whole thing about coffee is it's energizing. But look at this. This drink also has more than 3 times the amount of caffeine in a Red Bull.
That's fucking
insane. It's like literally a
insane.
menace to society at this point. And honestly, I have to give it to Starbucks here because I actually couldn't find
300? There was one time I accidentally had a 300 milligram energy drink because I thought it was like 150. I got this at a CVS. They had this energy drink. I actually forget what it's called, but they were out of White Monster, so I figured I'd try something new. And I consumed this, and I was like tweaking out. And I was like, why am I so tweaked out? So I looked up the contents of this shit. and it literally has 300 fucking milligrams. And I'm like, oh, that makes a lot of sense. This is like for somebody who's going to be doing like construction work, or, you know, is demanded to be almost tweaked out to do their job in the first place. And then it's this shit. You have Dunkin'. This looks like so benign and simple, like harmless. And then it's the shit that's doing the most work. It's doing the most harm.
Really a menace to society at this point. And honestly, I have to give it to Starbucks here because I actually couldn't find one drink on their menu over 1,000 calories. I'm sure you could customize and get it there, but they don't actually sell anything base model 1,000 calories. Meanwhile, Dunkin' has multiple. It's insane. It's giving Pawnee's soda problem.
Paunchburger just recently came out with a new 128 ounce option. Most people call it a gallon, but they call it the regular.
It's not my place to speak for the consumer, but everyone should buy it.
And when I was researching this video, I discovered that the top source of excess sugar consumption in the USA is sugar-sweetened beverages.
Makes a lot of sense.
Like these sweet coffee drinks. And I mean, when you take one look at these coffee drinks, it clearly makes sense.
That's just insane.
Now, in this case, we have been talking about the most extreme drinks available. We've been talking about the diabetes in a cup type drinks. But I'm going to go ahead and assume that most people.
Well, not really. I mean, if we take a look at the other one, the frozen coffee, this doesn't even look like an extreme drink. It's a frozen coffee, right? She said that this was just something that was like vanilla, or like stock. And so I don't understand. This doesn't even have any crazy modifiers. I wouldn't even assume this is that bad. Yet it is. So, yeah, I mean, if that's not even the bad ones, then if that's not even supposed to be something that it's like, oh, that's that bad. It's like, but it is.
Most people are not taking their morning coffee like this. Some people get these as a treat. You know, they're not the morning coffee order. There are probably some outliers, but I think that these drinks are mostly, you know, a little more rare. But as I kept working on this video, I learned
it's like the
coffee
Panera
really
lemonade
has been going through a major transition lately. Even regular coffee orders have suddenly become way sweeter than ever before. And from what I can tell, it all started with the death of black coffee. Now, for a long time, drinking hot black coffee was like considered to be the only acceptable way to drink coffee. And what I mean by that is if you drink your coffee any other way, at some point, someone would inevitably comment something like this. You shouldn't say you like coffee if you don't like your coffee black. I constantly see people claiming to love coffee, yet they always drink their coffee with a bunch of milk, sugar, and all kinds of weird stuff like.
Okay, I don't have a problem if you added some whole milk to your black coffee to make it less bitter. That's not an issue. I don't think that you've been disqualified from the coffee conversation if you do that. Simultaneously, I don't think that adding infinity modifiers allows you into the conversation either. I think there's some middle ground. The people who are purists and they think you're only allowed to speak on it if you drink your coffee black are just gatekeeping. But the people who they think they can talk about coffee while they're also having the frozen chocolate bar or whatever, it's just not true. This is one of those enlightened centrist things. Like, you can have a little bit of stuff added to your coffee, but if you go overboard, you need to shut up. And also, if you're demanding people drink it black, you also need to shut up.
Caramel. Actually, my favorite place to get coffee in Toronto is run by a man who is, I say this very nicely, the biggest coffee snob I have ever met. I seriously mean that in the nicest way possible. The man knows everything you could possibly ever know about coffee, and his coffee is the best coffee I've ever tasted in my entire life. He has beans from like the tops of very specific mountains, and he sells Kopi Luwak, aka that coffee that comes from a small animal eating the coffee berry and then like pooping it out. This guy takes max pride in all his beans and his brews. But if you specifically order a coffee at his shop and you try to add sweetener, he won't actually say anything rude to you, but he is 100% judging you hard. You'll be like, can I have a sweetener? And he'll be like, just taste it. Just taste it. Taste it the way it is first. And then you'll be like, I like black iced coffee, no problem. It's very tasty. I do not like hot black coffee. I need a little cream, just a little splash of cream. I need just a little splash of sweetness, and then I'm happy. But yeah, this kind of attitude was typical of what was called the third wave of coffee. There was truly a hipster attitude to the whole thing. It was all about like the quality of the bean and the roasting method and doing pour overs. And during this third wave of coffee,
Yeah, I feel like I've seen some people that have like an entire setup for their coffee, and I can't ever find a reason to justify investing that much into something that is like not even that big of a deal. Like, I understand if you like it a certain way, but there's some people that have like a percolator in their kitchen. They'll have like something that grinds up the beans. You know, they'll have like a specific thing to heat the fucking water, it's just too much. It's not necessary. Literally, yeah, people worship their coffee, and it's just something where I find it totally unnecessary. Like, just get a cup of coffee. If it's bitter, if it's black, then you're realistically not getting something that's far different than what you normally drink, you know?
In your coffee black was an absolute badge of honor. It's not that people didn't take cream or sugar or milk. It's just that black coffee was the aspiration to which we all aspired. And the whole idea was that there was this one true way to take your coffee, and that way was black. Except guess what? When researching this video, I found out that that's actually total BS, and coffee and sugar actually go way back. By the time coffee hit Europe in the 1600s and became this like huge trend almost immediately, people were and sugar, they do go together. This isn't a new thing. It's not a weird thing. And now you know that if someone tells you that the only way to drink coffee is black, history says otherwise. But here's the thing. Up until now, we have been drinking coffee with sugar, not sugar with coffee.
Yeah.
But that is changing and changing fast. According to this coffee industry magazine,
it's like when people say, would you like some sugar with your coffee? Now we're asking, would you like some coffee with your sugar? And that's basically the problem, right? It's become not the thing that helps the coffee be digested, but it's like the thing that is being digested alongside a fucking drip of coffee.
Called Coffee Intelligence.
The hell
Thanks
is
to
this?
Millennials and Gen Z, quote, coffee serves merely as an ingredient rather than the star of the show in today's coffee drinks. The article then goes on to say that coffee isn't even the base of the drinks we're calling coffee these days. Coffee is no longer the star of the show. What is the star of the show? It's sugar.
Exactly, because these companies are understanding that sugar is more addictive. So if the goal is to have more regular customers, you should get them addicted to your product, and you can do that by subverting it, by subverting what it is that they're drinking. You can make it so that the primary ingredient, like she said, is sugar. And when they're just drinking a lot of sugar, they're gonna not maybe think they're drinking as much as they actually are, because there's not a clear indication of how much they're getting. You have to go to their website. And so you basically get hooked on it without even really realizing it, So
we don't like coffee anymore. We like caffeine plus sugar. We like syrups. We like sweet creamers. Move over, coffee. You're just an ingredient in coffee now. And if you look around on social media at some of the cute
it's
coffees
laced,
people
basically.
are making, some people still brew their espresso with like a fancy machine. But a lot of people are like, nah, I don't care about that. Give me that instant coffee. Okay, I'm here for the syrups. It does not matter to me if the coffee is even passable.
Wow.
Because it's just a flavorant and caffeine source within this diabolical drink.
That's crazy.
Yeah, there's this whole trend now of people making their own coffees at home.
Oh, man.
Really customizable, sweet, sometimes very fancy drinks.
Okay.
Very aesthetically pleasing, a whole cute little ritual that they're doing at home. But the problem is really not a one-off drink that you make for yourself on the weekend. It's this whole broader trend. For example, one thing I found was that the most popular drink at Starbucks, it's no longer a cup of coffee. You'd probably think it would be like a cup of coffee, right? Or even maybe a plain latte or a cappuccino. No, the most popular drink at Starbucks is the caramel macchiato. That is the #1 drink according to Starbucks' own stats. Actually, I would have thought that the iced coffee would have been the #1 drink. So if you think about it, you're supposed to customize the iced coffee, you add whatever you want. So you would think that the base iced coffee would be #1. But nope, across all Starbucks stores, it's a sweet treat. It's the caramel macchiato. Now, a caramel macchiato is basically a latte with espresso and milk, but also 3 pumps of a vanilla syrup and a caramel drizzle. And a medium-sized one has 250 calories and 33 grams of sugar. It doesn't say specifically how much added sugar, which is the more...
That one's not even that bad at all compared to Dunkin'. This is actually fine, in my opinion, right? 34 grams of sugar. Yeah, she's asking the right question. How much of that is added sugar from modifiers, and how much of that comes from the base ingredients? But the reality is, 150 milligrams of caffeine, that's pretty standard. Not crazy. 250 calories is fine. That's actually also not bad at all. And then you have the saturated fat that probably comes from the milk, I would assume. The rest of this is fine.
33 grams of sugar. It doesn't say specifically how much added sugar, which is the more important number.
Yeah.
But because milk also has sugar, let's assume that there is 21 grams of added sugar in the drink. Now, 21 grams of added sugar is a fair amount, but it's not insane either, especially after discussing what Dunkin' had going on.
Yeah, exactly. The issue is that all of this seems fine in comparison to Dunkin', which if this was like the only thing that we had with Starbucks, then I think people would be more critical of it. But it's one of those things where by comparison, it seems totally harmless, even though it might not be. So we just live in the world where everything seems so tame compared to the most extreme version of it, Which is like, that's terrible.
But
It's like OnlyFans girls criticizing Bonnie Blue for being too extreme, It's like, well, they seem like angels compared to Bonnie Blue. Starbucks seems like an angel compared to the Bonnie Blue of fucking coffee, which is Dunkin'.
21 grams is about the same as a chocolate bar or 2 Krispy Kreme donuts or half a can of Coke. So it's a treat. Not a big deal. But if you're not aware of this and it's your daily order, being that this is the most popular drink, it is tacking quite a bit of extra sugar onto your day that you might not have ever even thought about. And the thing is, if you watch a few videos of baristas doing their morning shifts and you see a few orders back to back, you begin to realize that caramel is a very, very popular in coffee these days.
I wonder why that is.
Caramel, if you didn't know, is quite literally
why did it become so
sugar.
popular?
It's quote unquote caramelized sugar, and sometimes butter and cream depending on what type of caramel.
It's a sweetener.
Let's take a look at this 5 a.m. morning rush video at Starbucks. Okay, we got 2 caramel crunch frappuccinos, I think. Another caramel crunch. Lots of whipped cream. A tropical citrus
good, though. I
energy
love
drink.
it.
Brown sugar shaken espresso. Iced white mocha. Not sure what that means about the foam. And strawberry acai lemonade. So yeah, kind of crazy because nobody got coffee. And this is just one video, but this is what people were ordering at 5 a.m.
Yeah, that's true. Nobody did get coffee.
If you watch a few other videos, you see like this is how it goes. But yeah, this is what the orders looked like at 5 a.m. People are ordering desserts
Dude,
as
5 in the
coffee
fucking
before they
morning,
even start
bro.
their day. And
That's
again,
insane.
these drinks, not a big deal as a little treat. What happens when your morning coffee is literally equivalent to drinking multiple Krispy Kreme donuts and you don't even realize? Well, it turns out there is a lot of science on this phenomenon and it is actually really bad. I'm not even just saying that either. Going into this, I knew that liquid sugar was uniquely bad for you, but I did not realize how serious it actually was. So all of these drinks that we've been discussing today are what's called in science a sugar sweetened beverage, or SSB. A sugar sweetened beverage is any drink that has added sugar, and not just a teaspoon, but a substantial amount of added sugar. So if you're adding just a little bit, like a teaspoon or 2 of added sugar to your morning coffee, that's not what we're talking about. The classic SSB was for the longest time soda. Soda was by far the #1 sugar sweetened beverage for forever. But over the last 10 years or so, soda consumption has actually been in a major decline. However, as the amount of sugary sodas we're consuming has gone down, other sugary beverages have just popped up in its place.
Yeah, exactly. I'd be feeling sick in the mornings. How do people drink these in the mornings? I don't even have breakfast in the morning. Like, I don't even eat breakfast. Like, I haven't had breakfast in forever. Not that it's a good thing. I think people who eat breakfast, like, it's fine depending on what you have. To say it's the most important meal of the day. I actually literally don't know. If there's any breakfast experts in the comments, let me know what's up with that. But what I do know for a fact is drinking this shit in the morning is definitely bad and contributing negatively to your health. But anyway, back to what she was saying about soda. Like, soda has so obviously been a thing that deteriorates people's health for the longest time. So it makes sense that it's earned a bad rap. Like, is it bad rap or bad rep? I actually don't know. I've been saying kind of both, like, whatever, but we'll say rep for reputation. Soda has a bad rep and it's been unable to save it because there is no spin on soda. You can't be like, oh, Coke is actually super refreshing and it's good for you, whatever. People know what it is. Like, they're being indulgent, right? And so they like, Coca-Cola company can't say, well, it's actually good for you for this reason and that. Like, it's not, right? The problem with Starbucks is there's always been this thing that they say is like, oh yeah, well, it's good for your health because it energizes you. And that's true, but the overwhelming majority of the ingredients are akin to soda. But just soda can't say that it's good for you. Coffee can, right? Coffee can make these arguments that the benefits of drinking the coffee, regardless of the additives, is good. And so I think that's why people have been negligent to the downsides of it, right? And there's other things like this, like kombucha, for instance, has like a shitload of sugar, and a lot of fake health drinks are packed with sugar, like Gatorade and stuff like that. But they're designed to make you think that they are healthy, which I think is, in some cases, worse than soda, because if people knew the truth, they would stop drinking it, which is why soda's in a decline, right? And I'm pretty sure Gatorade is owned by the Coca-Cola company anyway. Parent company. Yeah, PepsiCo. See? Isn't that funny? They were just like, well, we can't make people think that Pepsi is healthy, so we'll just make Gatorade.
Such as the super sugary sweet coffee drink. And this isn't good because it turns out that drinking your sugar is uniquely problematic to health. According to a meta-analysis published just this year that analyzed data from over 500,000 people worldwide, drinking your sugar is way more problematic for your health than eating it is. So sugar sweetened beverages, whichever they may be, sugary coffees, sodas, energy drinks. These were way, way worse than eating cakes, candies, chocolate bars. How much worse? Well, interestingly, sugar consumed through beverages was consistently linked to a higher risk of developing type 2 diabetes. Meanwhile, other sugar sources showed no such link, and in some cases were even associated with a lower risk. So I wouldn't go like run out and like eat 10 cakes, but in this case, these researchers are saying that they're surprised to find that in their research, sugary food was for some reason not associated with increased diabetes risk. Sugar-sweetened beverages, on the other hand, definitely were. With each additional 12-ounce serving of sugar-sweetened beverages, i.e. soft drinks, energy drinks, and sports drinks per day, the risk for developing type 2 diabetes increased by 25%. Wow. This strong relationship showed that the increased risk began from the very first daily serving with no minimum threshold below which intake appeared to be safe. That is insane. So even one sugary 25%. Drink in a day consistently makes your risk of diabetes jump noticeably. And the risks keep climbing as you add more servings. And like a Monster Dunkin' Donuts style drink, that is going to count as way more than one serving, while a more modest drink is just going to count as just one. So even though it sounds like a joke, I guess that these drinks seriously were diabetes in a cup. Probably the best thing you can do to reduce your diabetes risk, or if you're concerned about diabetes, is just to not drink sugar-sweetened beverages.
Yeah, well, it's like, even if they don't have diabetes, I think she said this earlier, but it's like you can be pre-diabetic, which I'll read you the Google definition here, is a condition in which blood sugar levels are higher than normal, but not high enough to be diagnosed as type 2 diabetes. So it's like you're basically diabetic, but just not at the like exact threshold, right? Where, like, to me, it's you may as well be thrown in with the like diabetic camp, because you still are suffering from like a very similar or adjacent condition. So yeah.
And yeah, like I said, going into this, I knew sugar-sweetened beverages were unhealthy. I had no idea that they were this bad. They were truly this uniquely unhealthy thing. But in January, researchers at Tufts University published a study revealing that 2.2 million new cases of type 2 diabetes and 1.2 million new cases of cardiovascular disease occur each year globally due to consumption of sugar-sweetened beverages. And Barry Popkin, one of the most respected researchers in the nutrition space, he actually called SSBs the plague of the globe in a paper that was also titled Sugary Beverages Represent a Threat to Global Health. So yeah, sugary coffee drinks are not your friend. According to the science, here are the main issues with sugar sweetened beverages. They directly promote weight gain and higher BMI. They carry an elevated risk of coronary heart disease and stroke. They're associated with hypertension, non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, gout, and chronic kidney disease. Wow. And they are uniquely dangerous for diabetes risk. So yeah, cutting sugary coffee drinks and any other SSBs you've been consuming, super easy way to improve your health. Who knew that these drinks were so uniquely awful for us? Like, I knew soda was bad. I knew 1,000 calorie super sugary coffee drinks were bad. I didn't know we were talking about plague of the globe bad. And you know what else is really interesting that I came across while researching this video? Sugary coffee, terrible for your health, right? Black coffee, potentially like insanely amazing for your health. But adding more than half a teaspoon of sugar or 1 tablespoon of cream canceled out the effects. Here are some clips of Rhonda Patrick talking about what it is about coffee and our bodies that makes it so good for us.
Science increasingly demonstrates that coffee actively slows biological aging. It protects cells from damage and helps the body adapt to stress, effectively slowing down aging at the cellular level. Coffee does not increase your cancer risk. In fact, it probably reduces it, particularly for certain major cancers, including liver cancer, endometrial cancer, and skin cancer. Coffee doesn't just have antioxidant properties. It actively reduces DNA damage. This is one of the fundamental triggers of cancer. There is an important nuance when it comes to coffee's health benefits, such as the cancer protective effects. Brewing method does matter. Most studies show clear cancer protection involved filtered coffee. Boiled or unfiltered methods like the French press or espresso allow oily compounds called diterpenes to enter our cup of coffee. At higher consumption levels, these diterpenes have been associated with slightly elevated risks of certain cancers, such as pancreatic cancer and respiratory tract cancers.
Kind of crazy, right? She actually has quite a few videos about the health benefits of coffee if you're interested. I'll put some links in the description. Now, I feel like despite everything we talked about today, most people are probably going to continue drinking their sweet coffee drinks. So I'm going to leave on screen just a few tips if you are going to keep doing it to do it a little healthier. And
yeah, I mean, realistically, even if you cut back by even 15 to 20%, that's still a sizable portion. So it's like going from a medium to a small of the same exact thing is just infinitely better.
Have you seen my Biggest Loser video? I feel like you might enjoy that. There's a fun montage of my favorite person of all time.
Well, anyway, I mean, this was a great video. I didn't know it was this bad. Like, I did know Starbucks was, I keep saying Starbucks, but it's really Dunkin'. Dunkin' is the main issue. Dunkin' is the main issue. They are the biggest criminals of all of this. And honestly, maybe this is going too far. I would argue there should be something to make it so they can't sell this shit. Like, am I crazy to say that they shouldn't be allowed to sell some of this stuff? Like, I feel like I've had this argument with my friend before where it's like, we should be able to regulate certain things in terms of food that we're not currently regulating. And the biggest argument against it is just like, well, you know, regulation is bad in general, and people shouldn't be like, you know, forced by the government to have what they eat and drink regulated. And it's like, well, I do feel like we regulate what people ingest in terms of drugs, in terms of alcohol. So why not with certain food, right? I mean, there's certain chemicals you can't put in food. So it's like, why do we not draw the line at this shit, right? So I don't know. I would hope that somebody could take a step in the right direction and get this stuff sorted out, because it is certainly bad. And there's like no argument against it being bad. There's no there's no devil's advocate. The devil's advocate would be a philosophical one. It would be about personal liberty and freedom. No one can sit here and tell you that it's good. No one can sit here and tell you that it's good to drink, because it's not. They could just sit here and tell you that this is America, land of the free. If I want to drink a fucking diabetes in a cup, I should be able to. That would be the only argument, right? Even though it's killing people. But yeah. Anyway, if you guys enjoyed this video, please be sure to leave a like. If you didn't, then you can leave a dislike. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel and leave a comment if you enjoyed. I will see you guys all later. Bye.